This is a car which we very nearly didn't get in the UK. No, I'm not talking about the Renault Clio, but I'm talking about the engine in this particular Renault Clio. This is the manual petrol version, and Renault nearly didn't bring it to the UK, with only plans to sell their automatic hybrid version. But when they realised that Ford were ditching the Fiesta and less small cars were becoming available, they realised that there was a gap in the market for affordable small vehicles. So they decided to carry on selling the manual petrol version, and they start from as little as £18,000. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to the John Banks Review channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the petrol manual version of the Renault Clio and finding out if it's a really good option if you're looking for a small, affordable car. This car is actually available from as little as £249 a month with a £249 deposit. Sure, that's not for this fancy Esprit Alpine version, but even this version can be had for as little as £289 a month with a similar deposit. Or, alternatively, if you're looking for 0% finance, we're also offering that on the Renault Clio. If you wanted any more information on those finance offers, then you can click the link in the description box and chat to one of our sales team. But let's start by talking about the styling of the new Clio, because despite being one of the more affordable options, this is a very good looking car. The Clio was a relatively handsome car before, but the facelifted model is arguably the sharpest looking super mini on the market right now. Its striking new look takes some of the more distinctive styling cues from the equally eye-catching Megane and Austral. The rear has also been given a new set of clear taillights, plus aerodynamic elements in the bumper to emphasise the car's width. For a while, RS line used to be the sporty trim for Renaults, but nowadays they lean on their F1 heritage, using the Alpine name instead. This is the Esprit Alpine trim, and you get some really nice F1 inspired elements, including that frontal blade, which is finished in the dark grey. I also love this chrome tipped grille that twinkles in the light. You get the fantastic new big Renault badge, and I love the alloy wheels on this Esprit trim. You get really nice little harks to that blue Alpine heritage in the centre with the Renault badges. The hybrid engined Clio that I've previously reviewed on the channel is a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder petrol which has an electric motor fed by a small 1.2 kWh battery, which allows the hybrid to run in EV mode for short distances. Renault says the hybrid can return up to 67.3 miles per gallon. This petrol, however, is capable of a similarly impressive fuel economy of 54.3 miles per gallon. And it's the petrol manual car that I'm driving today. This engine is labelled the TCe 90 and it's a 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine paired together with a 6-speed manual gearbox. The 0 to 62 hour time will take you around 12.5 seconds. So it's not the quickest car out there, but if you compare it to other rivals, petrol manual cars, of which there are very few nowadays, for instance, a similar priced Polo only gets 60 brake horsepower, and then the 0 to 62 hour sprint takes much more like 15 seconds. But for around town, this engine is perfect. It has more than enough power. When you get out onto the motorway, it does become just a little bit less powerful than comparing it to some of its hybrid rivals. But then again, it's all about the price tag, and they offered this manual version of the Clio to be able to make it more affordable to more people. And I'm sure that many people watching this will agree that there's just something so special about a manual petrol car, possibly because it's what most of us learnt to drive in, so it kind of holds a special place in our hearts. And being able to have that more affordable option within the Clio range is definitely a huge positive in my books. Over the years, interior quality of Renault products has significantly increased. The interior of this Clio now feels very modern and also pretty good quality. Sure, there are some cheaper plastics which can be found in the cabin, but you have to remember that this is a more affordable product. In this Esprit Alpine trim, you get some really nice details, including a leather-wrapped steering wheel with the tri-colour stitching on the centre. You also get that matching stitching on the seats as well, and little details like the French flag. I also love the fact that you have these seat belts which are trimmed in the Alpine blue. But even if you don't go for the top spec Esprit Alpine, every version of the Renault Clio is very tasteful. You now get this portrait screen atop the dashboard with some physical keys underneath. You also still get physical climate control dials in the Clio as well, so this makes it really easy to use when driving. There's plenty of connectivity, including 2 USB chargers, you've got 12-volt charging, and also, something that you rarely see nowadays, you still have an aux cable. Now, auxes may be a little bit outdated, but keep one in your car and it means everyone in the car can play their music without having to worry about connecting to Bluetooth. But don't worry, if you wanted to connect to Bluetooth, that's still available, as is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on all versions of the Clio. You have some really nice buttons on the steering wheel, including cruise control, which once again is standard on the Clio. There's also plenty of storage options, including this section in front of the gear selector, which includes wireless charging on the higher spec models. You also have a dedicated area for your Renault key, as well as cup holders which are hidden behind this slider. The addition of having this slider in front of the cup holders just gives it a more premium touch. You also get a small armrest with a little bit of storage inside and a decent sized glove box and storage in the door cards. Once a very popular requirement for small cars, 3 doors are becoming less and less available. In fact, if you want a 3-door hatch, you're possibly looking at the more expensive Mini Cooper. Now, the great thing about the Renault Clio is it may only be a 5-seater, however, it has the appearance of a 3-seater because they have the rear doors which are in the top quarter. And this gives it the look of a 3-door with the practicality of a 5. And talking about practicality, affordability might not be the only option you go for the petrol version of the Renault Clio. It may also be a practical reason, and that's because boot space in the petrol version of the Renault Clio is actually larger than that of the hybrid. Because of the small battery and added motor in the hybrid, its boot is 301 litres, but in this petrol version there's nearly a third more space, with 391 litres. Despite boot space changing between the two cars, interior space remains the same, and that's a good thing because there's a good level of practicality inside the Clio. Despite being a small hatchback, I've still got a decent amount of legroom and a good amount of headroom as well. There's also 2 ISOFIX fitments in the back here, but also a third on the passenger seat as well. The only downside is there isn't any rear charging or rear cup holders. This petrol version of the Clio is also lighter than if you go for the hybrid, and that means it's slightly more supple in its drive. The automatic hybrid can be just a little bit harsh in its ride handling, but this is all round a little bit smoother. In fact, it's a very nice car to drive. Over the years, Renault have really developed the way that the Renault Clio drives, as the Fiesta was always the target for driving engagement. But nowadays, the Renault Clio is just as enjoyable and still actually for sale. The 5th generation Renault Clio is the safest version yet, receiving the maximum 5-star rating in the NCAP testing. By contrast, the Vauxhall Corsa and Peugeot 208 both get a 4-star NCAP rating. The Clio's safety success is down to its wide range of active safety features. All trim levels come with automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, traffic sign recognition, and emergency brake assist. The base model, Evolution, includes rear parking sensors, while the mid-range Techno cars have front and rear parking sensors and a reversing camera. The top-of-the-range Esprit Alpine trim adds blind spot monitoring, rear cross-traffic alert, and adaptive cruise control for enhanced safety. For a long time, new or used, the Renault Clio has been a great option for first-time buyers. And now, with its added safety technology, it's better than ever before. Plus, you get all of that practicality and specification. New car prices are expensive nowadays, but Renault has tried to keep those prices low by still offering this petrol manual version. But let me know, have you bought a petrol manual version of the Renault Clio? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then hit the subscribe button. Plus, if you wanted any more information on the Renault Clio or anything else in the Renault range, then you can get in contact with our sales team via the link in the description box. Until next time, guys, see you later.